Hey guys, today we're going to talk about impact of exercise and nutrition on health and fitness. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Obviously, we know that exercise and nutrition are very important. The main cogs in healthy living, actually. So I'm going to open up the PowerPoint that is posted here on Blackboard, run through it, sharing it on my screen. And anyway, it's Friday here, so I'm going to knock this out as quick as I can, and I hope you guys have a good weekend. I know you may not watch this on a Friday, but hey, it's Friday for me. So here we go. Let's share a screen and talk about exercise and nutrition. All right, so here we are. We're on the PowerPoint now. We're talking about what I said. We're going to jump right in. There's some factors that contribute to health and fitness that are very important. Now, this slide is very, very important to remember. There's some testing information on here. You need to know the difference between modifiable factors that contribute to health and fitness and non-modifiable factors that contribute to health and fitness. Non-modifiable, that means something that you cannot change. We're talking about age, we're talking about sex. Modifiable factors, your diet, activity level, cigarette use, alcohol consumption, those are all things that you can control and that you can change and improve, whether it may be more activity, less cigarette, to make your health trend in the proper direction. So, modifiable versus non-modifiable. Important, need to know. Okay, what is health and what is fitness? So health is just the ability to perform normal activities of daily living without an undue amount of physiological or emotional stress. You know, you're not totally bogged down. You're not, health is you want to be able to go through daily activities without an undue amount of trouble. Fitness are your characteristics that allow optimum functioning of the body. So you're talking about you are more fit as you can go up, and at one point you could go up one flight of stairs without getting winded. Now you can go up 3 flights of stairs without getting winded. Your fitness has improved. There's 5 measurable components of fitness: muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. We know how all of those can be measured. This is also, if I remember correctly, on one of our tests as well. So another important slide. What benefits do we see from muscular strength exercise? You're going to see increases in the number of myofibrils, which is muscle fibers is all that means, and the storage of glucose and calcium, which enhances your power, your speed, and your strength. It improves your neuromuscular connection that allows for more efficient activation of muscles. So neuromuscular communication, that's the transfer between when your brain tells your muscles to do something, your brain and nerves tell you to jump. You're able to do that more efficiently because of strength exercise. You're training that communication. You're also going to see improvements in joint stability. That improvement in joint stability is going to reduce the risk of joint injury. Okay, some benefits of muscular endurance exercise. So we're not talking about strength as much here. We're talking about endurance. So what happens here is as you do more endurance exercise, you see an increase in the number of capillaries that supply muscles. That's going to improve the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the fibers. That's a good thing. You're also going to see an increase in the amount of myoglobin. That improves the ability to store oxygen. Now, you'll see increases also in the number of mitochondria. What that does is it improves the ability to synthesize or to break down ATP for energy. Also, your lactic acid threshold is going to increase as well, and you won't be sore, for one. It improves your ability to synthesize ATP aerobically. So that's endurance. Benefits of cardiovascular endurance exercise. So now we're talking about treadmills, we're talking about stationary bikes, we're talking about jogging, things like that. You're going to see increases in the number of capillaries, red blood cells, and hemoglobin. That's going to improve oxygen delivery to the body in general. You should see lowering of blood pressure, a decreased resting pulse rate. It improves your LDL to HDL ratio. LDL to HDL, we're talking about cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, and high density lipoprotein. We'll go much deeper into this, but LDL is the, quote, bad cholesterol. It's kind of sloppy. It comes out through your body, and it's kind of what drops cholesterol into your blood vessels and causes that plaque that we see causing issues in people. Now, HDL, on the other hand, it's the good guy. It runs around picking up behind LDL, trying to clean out those plaque buildups that are left behind by LDL being so sloppy. So HDL is our friend. We want higher HDL, lower LDL. That's the best for cardiovascular health and risk ratios. You'll see decreases in abdominal fat stores. Now, where that's important is abdominal fat stores are where fat is dangerous. If someone has fat thighs and booty and all that stuff, obviously they may not be as healthy as someone who does not, but the fat that can get you in trouble for the most part is the fat that is in your abdominal area, around your lungs, around your other organs. That's where you run into trouble. So decreases in abdominal fat stores, that's awesome. It increases your tidal volume and VO2 max. You're able to breathe better. Also by improving the functioning of your alveoli, which is part of the respiratory system that helps you to transfer oxygen through the body. These breathing situations also play into the current world situation with this whole COVID thing. So better, more efficient alveoli, increased tidal volume. We're talking about things that could be helpful, say, if you were to become ill with coronavirus. Okay, benefits of flexibility exercise. What do we see there? It's going to preserve the range of motion at your joints. That is a good thing. I have seen differences myself. I'm not going to tell off today on exactly how old I am, but I can tell a great deal difference in my range of motion from 10 years ago. Pretty good bit of difference. Now that's something that if I got on a flexibility regimen, I could kind of turn around and make that better. Another thing flexibility exercises do, they maintain the pliability of tissue surrounding joints. That means that your joints aren't going to get too stiff, too stable. I mean, stability is one thing, but you don't want to not be able to use your joints to full extent. So that's where flexibility plays in. Flexibility can also reduce the risk of joint injury. Okay, how does exercise affect body composition? So how that happens is going to reduce overall body fat, which in turn is going to decrease your heart disease risk by reducing that abdominal fat. And we talked about how that fat is the one that is dangerous for us and we need to get rid of. Muscle mass will increase. You're going to burn more calories. You're going to be stronger. You are, so that will continue to help you to improve body composition. And your metabolic rate rises as well, which means that you burn calories faster. So once you start this process and start making these changes, then it's easier to see positive effects, which is a good thing because that kind of keeps you going. All right, here we are back to the LDL versus HDL. I've gone over some of this, so I'll kind of shoot through it as I can. LDL is low density lipoprotein. It's composed of lipids and a small amount of protein. Lipids are basically cholesterol, fats. It transports those to cells. Now, as I said, it spills some of their contents into the arteries as it travels. Those spills are a bad thing because a lot of times they stick where they spill. And you start having a buildup, and your blood flow is restricted, and that's where you start running into stroke, heart attack, things like that. These spills going unchecked can be a real problem. High density lipoprotein, this is composed of lipids and a large amount of protein. So less lipids, more protein. And what happens here, HDL transport this cholesterol that's lost by the LDL back to the liver to help clean up after LDL is basically what's going on. BMI, what is that? That's body mass index. We need to know that. What it does, it assesses the risk for chronic disease. Now, BMI measures weight in relation to height, and that's all that it does. It's how tall are you, how much do you weigh, and it's such a chart saying how much you should weigh at a certain height. It does not reflect body fat percentage. It doesn't indicate fat distribution. BMI is a good tool for the general public. BMI is not a good tool for, let's say, an NFL linebacker. Okay. Now, if you can be 6 foot, 250 pounds, and have two entirely different body types, okay? 6 foot, 250 pounds, low muscle tone, lot of visceral fat stores, you got a Buddha belly, BMI is accurate for you when it tells you that you are probably in the obese or extremely obese range. Now, BMI on an NFL inside linebacker that weighs 6 foot, 250 pounds, and I'm just pulling that out of the air. Solid muscle, 6% body fat, they're going to show up as obese or extremely obese, morbidly obese on the chart, when they have, in actuality, they have very little, if any, fat on their body, so they are not overweight. That is where BMI is challenged, is when you get outside of that normal average population. It is not accurate, you know, because body fat percentage is not, or fat distribution are not put into the equation. There's 6 different classes of nutrients: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and water. Okay, they're all very important for different reasons. So we'll talk about kind of what they do. Carbs, they provide 4 calories per gram. They provide energy. That's what we think of as being our quick energy. It's stored first as glycogen when it's consumed in excess. It's converted to and stored as fat if you take in more than what can be stored in your glycogen storage. There are either simple carbs or complex carbs. Fat, provides 9 calories per gram. Fat provides energy to the body. Now, when it's consumed in that excess, it's stored in adipose or fat tissue. Proteins, 4 calories per gram again. Proteins are here to form body structures, transport substances in body fluids like we talked about in HDL. Protein is a big part of what is helping with the cleanup of what LDL is leaving behind. Proteins also help to maintain the acid-base balance, regulate water movement in the body, catalyze or help to burn reactions. It forms antibodies and hormones. When protein is consumed in excess, more than what you're burning off, it's converted to and stored as fat. Vitamins and minerals, what do? They facilitate metabolic reactions in the body. They also transport substances throughout the body. They are integral in forming structures. They also maintain the water balance and keep that appropriate across cell membranes in the body. Okay, water. I'll say this, we are made up. Nobody drinks enough water. Well, some people do. I don't. I drink a lot of coffee. A lot of people do not drink enough water. And when you think about how much of our bodies are made up of water and how important it is, then we should really change that. And it's easy to say and harder to do. It makes up about 60% of the average adult body. So that's a significant amount, guys. Water acts as a product or reactant in many chemical reactions. Most reactions in the body occur using water. So obviously, if you take water away, we're going to have some things that are lacking. Simple. Water helps to maintain body temperature as well. And obviously, we know that's very important in both directions. So what does nutrition and health, having good nutrition and better health do for us? Proper nutrition minimizes the risk for chronic conditions. Your risk factors increase the likelihood of disease development. So the more risk factors you have, the higher your likelihood is of given diseases. And depending on what those risk factors are, that's going to play a role in which diseases you may be more likely to develop. Okay, what are some dietary risk factors? You can have high intake of saturated and trans fat, not a good thing. Low intake of fiber, also not a good thing. Number one, constipation can come in. Number two, you can start running the risk of things like colon cancer and things like that because things aren't moving through the system as they should. So you need that motility in your bowels. Insufficient omega-3 and monounsaturated fatty acids. The omega-3, one thing that it does, you hear people who have, they say that's part of a heart healthy diet. It kind of helps with cholesterol, getting that balance back, clearing your arteries, helping your blood flow easier, things like that. Excessive cholesterol intake, we know that can lead to plaque buildup, stroke, heart attack, things like that. Excessive energy intake, what does that mean? It sounds real fancy. You eat too much. Bringing in energy, bringing in more energy than you are burning is excessive energy intake, which means you're eating more than what you're burning off. That's going to lead to the visceral or abdominal fat stores, which are going to put you at a higher risk for issues. Now, what about giving out nutrition information? We're going to talk about nutrition during this course. We're going to talk about it in not a great deal of depth for most of the special populations that we're talking about, but we will talk about it. State law usually is going to restrict nutrition counseling to someone who has at least a 4-year degree in nutrition. So Obviously, you can give anecdotal information, thoughts about nutrition, but you don't need to be, unless you fit that bill, giving out nutrition information as if it's the spoken word. Some general current exercise guidelines. Resistance training. Remember this slide. This is important. I think it's on the test also. You want to perform with control through a full range of motion. It should be done 2 to 3 days a week. That's sufficient. The intensity is just enough to stimulate strength gains. 2 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps for 8 to 10 exercises. And here's the key: targeting all major muscle groups. That's what you need to remember, that resistance training should be done 2 to 3 days a week. It should target all major muscle groups. So don't skip leg day. I think I've heard that a time or two. Some more exercise guidelines as far as cardiovascular training. You want to include continuous aerobic activity using large muscle groups. Like I say, cardiovascular training, we're talking about treadmill, we're talking about ellipticals, we're talking about rowing machines. It could be swimming. Lots of different options. Jogging, things like that are all aerobic activities. Perform moderately intense activity for at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Vigorous activity for at least 20 minutes, 3 days a week. Flexibility training, you want to target all your major muscle groups. Perform stretching exercises 2 to 3 days a week for at least 4 repetitions per muscle group. You want to do static stretching, dynamic stretching, PNF, which is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. We'll talk about that further down the road. Yoga and Tai Chi. Obviously, a lot of you probably have been exposed to yoga. All of you know what yoga is. Everyone doesn't know what Tai Chi is. You should check that out. It's an interesting thing to do. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's not really my cup of tea, but I do see where it could be beneficial for the right demographic or the right group of people who are interested in that form of exercise. You want to hold static stretches for 10 to 30 seconds each. Eventually, you can progress to 60 seconds each. So special populations, that's very important because that's who we're going to be talking about the rest of the way in this class. There are groups of people with conditions and needs that make them fit differently than the general population. They're going to experience many of the same exercise-related health benefits that the general population sees. Their benefits, you're going to see a decreased risk of hypertension, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, reduced risk of osteoporosis, breaking down of the bones, weakening, preservation of muscle mass and joint flexibility, that's a positive, and maintenance of healthy weight and low body fat. So special populations have a lot to gain from exercise and proper nutrition as well. And that's it for that PowerPoint. We'll stop there. Hope you guys hung in there and that wasn't too long. It is important if you watch this now, you notice I'm telling you, ooh, my mask is messing me up, y'all, making me mad. Anyway, sorry, got distracted by my ugly mug. You guys, I tell you on these lectures here, and the reason that I'm doing it is that I'm not able to have you guys in class to tell you these things. I tell you in these lectures, you need to know this. This is going to be on the test. I suggest watching these. They're not too long. I wish we were in class. I wish we were together, and that would be much better. But hey, we can. If you want to get the most out of this course, watch the lectures. Go over the PowerPoints. Review them. Read your chapters. Answer your discussion questions. If you do those things, keep up, stay up to date with the course. Make note of the things that I say are going to be seen again or will be on the test. You will do wonderful in this course if you do those things. So you guys hang in there. I will, you may see me again in this same get up in a little while if I feel like doing the next lecture. So I'm just getting these done and posting them on here for the semester, where they'll be done and ready for y'all. I got to do this for several classes. So a lot of talking right now. You guys have a good day, and I will talk to you again soon.